Hi, I'm RJ Baxter with realestatetalkdenver.com, and I'm here today with Kyle Randall. Kyle's the mortgage specialist on our team here at the RJ Baxter Team with Fairway Mortgage, and he's joining us today to talk a little bit more about a common question that we get, and that is, how do I get rid of my mortgage insurance? There's a lot of people that still have mortgage insurance, and with property values going up so much, especially in the Denver area and all across the country really for that matter, people are asking us about this. How do we get rid of that mortgage insurance? And I actually just went through it on my own house a couple years ago, and found out a little bit more about it. But Kyle's going to share some insights on the two main ways that you can go about this, because sometimes for some people one way makes sense and sometimes another way. So tell us a little bit more about it, Kyle.
Well, absolutely. There's a couple different ways here to get rid of your mortgage insurance, and basically, the first step would probably be go to your lender. You can request an appraisal on the value of your home. Now, that's going to be basically just derived from the actual value or home improvements that you've made in your home. And the other way to do it is pay down that mortgage to your 20% equity. And you could also bring up the value by making some remodeling improvements in the home as well, and bring up the 20% equity.
Okay. So that's as long as you have that 20% equity.
That is the key with going to your other lender.
Okay.
Now, the second option, and what we find in Colorado's market, is the quicker method of getting or eliminating the mortgage insurance, and that is to do a refinance.
Right.
Now, I've helped many people do this, where we either cut their mortgage insurance in half, or we completely eliminate it with a refinance.
And as we look at these, sometimes it doesn't make as much sense to refinance. It's actually better to go to the current lender. Is that right?
Correct, yeah. And we're going to give you an honest opinion on that. We're going to look at the full scenario and advise from that point.
Yeah, because when we look at a refinance, we want to make sure that we're providing a benefit to the homeowner.
Exactly. It's got to make sense for sure.
Yeah, because there's closing costs involved on a refinance.
Yep. It can be a little bit more expensive, and we always work around ways to make that a benefit for you and maybe reduce some of those costs as well in a refinance.
Yeah, when we do a lot of no closing cost refinance, which sometimes makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And one thing I found out when I did my own personal mortgage insurance removal is that I actually had to pay the appraisal fee to the current lender.
Correct.
So there was a little bit of a cost there, but in my case, at least, it made sense to just go through the current lender.
Right.
So
right.
like especially if the homeowner's interest rate is really low. Unfortunately, we're seeing interest rates a little bit higher right now. So.
Right. There could be some extra factors in there, and just looking at that and talking to that lender first can definitely help answer that question up front for you.
Yeah. Well, and that's where we help advise, is that if it makes more sense to talk to the current lender first, or to just go ahead and look at a refinance.
Right, and especially if you're a past client of ours too, we can easily find that out for you very quickly.
Yeah. And then another thing too that we do sometimes is we'll help folks pull cash out and at the same time eliminate the mortgage insurance.
Exactly. Sometimes we do two birds with one stone, and eliminating some of that monthly debt really makes sense for a lot of borrowers, especially with what's going on right now.
Yeah. I mean, we've helped people save $500, $1,000 a month.
Oh yeah. We've seen drastic savings on some of these refinances. So, and key is just as we're helping you progress towards this transaction, just keep in mind, make sure you keep your credit scores up, because if we are going to cut your mortgage insurance in half, it's going to be very important that you have a good credit score.
Yeah, and we can help with that too, right? I mean,
absolutely. We look at credit scenarios and full credit analysis for free basically every day with our job.
Yeah, because we have the in-house credit improvement department that can help advise folks on how to do that. Great
program. We came out with it about a year ago, and I rely on that just about every single week here at Fairway.
Yeah, that's been a huge value. Yeah. One thing I wanted to touch on too is for people that have FHA mortgages, which is pretty common.
Yes.
For first-time home buyers, folks that maybe don't have as much down payment.
Right.
So what's the rule with an FHA loan? If I get that loan down to 20%, can I get rid of the mortgage insurance in that case?
No, unfortunately not. With FHA, you are bound to that mortgage insurance for the life of the loan.
Okay, right.
So Yeah, a lot of people out there with an FHA mortgage right now, and we're always, talking about this with them when they're getting into the mortgage and giving them, a couple options when they get, sometimes even 18 months to 2 years in that mortgage. We can start helping them with getting out of the FHA mortgage.
Yeah. So in that case, we have to look at a refinance.
Absolutely, yeah. If you want to get out of the FHA loan, we have to refinance you. We have to get into a conventional program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a guideline too that they have to have made 6 payments before we can do something.
Right. Yeah. You have to actually make those 6 payments and live in the home before we can do that refinance with FHA.
Yep. So if you bought your home this year and you're at one of the rates started to go up, what was it, February or so? Rates went a little higher.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, since February, even back December. Yeah, we saw a pretty good increase.
That's right.
In some rates.
So if you're watching this and you bought your house this year and you have an FHA loan, we have to make sure that you've made 6 payments. But we can help advise you as to when exactly we can start looking at the refinance and get you into a lower no MI loan potentially.
Yep, absolutely, and we're happy to do that anytime for you.
Yeah. Now, one thing you mentioned earlier, you kind of touched on this, is home improvements.
Yes.
So there's a couple ways we can help with home improvements.
Right.
We can help with a cash out refinance, like we talked about.
Yep.
And maybe at the same time, eliminate the mortgage insurance. So
imagine
pulling the money out you need to do your kitchen remodel or whatever, eliminating mortgage insurance and also reducing your payment at the same time. What a win-win situation there.
Oh, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense when we see a couple other purposes for that refinance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And then we have renovation loans also, where we can...
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned those because we are seeing a lot more borrowers very interested in that program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way it works is we base the loan on what the house is worth once the improvements are made on the property.
That's right. So yep, you get an appraiser out there the second time to value the work that you've completed. Now your home's worth, $20,000, $40,000 more than what it was when you began these improvements.
Yeah. And we can do things like putting on a mother-in-law suite or a detached garage or an addition even.
Yeah, there's even room to put in a second story on your house if you even want to get that creative. But they're really made for extending out the kitchen, maybe adding in an extra bathroom, and you could even go as far as fixing an outdated pool, getting that up to standard. How much money would that give you in your home equity?
Yeah. So for folks watching this podcast or listening, if you're thinking about just staying put and doing some home improvements, that's a way you can also access some of the potential equity in your house. So even if you don't have enough money to pull cash out on a traditional loan, a renovation loan might be worth looking at.
Absolutely, and we're here to advise on that as well. There's a couple different options when it comes to a renovation product, but we can easily help you navigate that process and get you on track.
Yeah. All right, so we like to end every episode with 3 questions to all of our guests. So,
all right.
The first question is, what's your favorite place to go in Colorado?
Man, that's a tough one. There's so many beautiful places here in Colorado, but it's got to be the mountains, and I'd have to say probably Vail, Colorado. Next to that, I'd say Beaver Creek. So that's just right down the road. We've had so many great memories there, and it's such a beautiful surrounding. Yeah,
and you like to camp with your family?
Absolutely. Right? I love to camp. I love to go snowboarding up there, and so I think we have the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, we do. That's a beautiful area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the next question is, do you have a book you would recommend to our audience that you like?
Oh man, I've always been a really big Anthony Bourdain fan. So I would say anything he's written. Kitchen Confidential, though, is his most popular book. And I would definitely go with
What kind of writing does he do?
Well, very narrative writing. He gets you really in touch with the feeling in the book, and he really just dives into the whole aspect of being a chef in New York City at the time, and how so it's not all magic behind the curtains there. You'd be pretty surprised on what goes on in a restaurant.
Interesting. Okay, I haven't heard of him, so I'll have to check that out.
Absolutely. Yep. Nice. Good read there.
And my final question is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh man, well, I'm not sure about superpower. I think if I was going to be a superhero, it would be Iron Man, because he's got all the cool stuff. He's got all the cool gadgets.
Yep.
Just the power to fly, probably. If as long as I could be able to fly, I think that would do it for me.
You could fly over the traffic and get to Vail quicker.
Exactly. Yeah, that I-70 traffic can be pretty hard sometimes. So yeah, if I just turbo boost up to the top of the mountain, and
there you go.
We're in business.
Yeah. Some really valuable insights, Kyle. I appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So if you have any other questions, just give us a call in the office. We'd be happy to advise you. And like Kyle said, we're going to give you the honest answer. We're not going to try to convince you of doing a refinance if it doesn't make sense, if it makes more sense to go to your current lender. So
absolutely,
that's why we're here. And once again, appreciate you guys listening in today, and have a great rest of your day. My name is RJ Baxter with realestatetalkdenver.com, and this is Kyle Randall, the mortgage specialist on our team. And you guys have a great rest of your day.